Hello, my name is Keith Haswell. I'm a professional astrologer with 38 years experience in the business and 25,000 clients worldwide. It's my pleasure to welcome you to my website and to my teachings. Now, you've come to my website in order to get your horoscope done, and you are to be congratulated for being a believer in astrology, because science tells us that the planets can have no impact upon us, that astrology is a load of hogwash. And what they're not taking into consideration and what their instruments can't measure is the emotional level of energy and the emotional level of consciousness, and also the mental level of energy and the mental level of consciousness. So the religions of the world are all telling us that astrology is evil and the work of the devil and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of people in the world, the vast majority, who are atheistic in their thinking, or religious in their thinking, or scientific in their thinking, and therefore don't relate to astrology. But you're relating to astrology, and you are to be congratulated. Now, astrology works because these planets are living energy forms, and they are emitting ray energies into your reality and into your consciousness. Now, these planets are having impact upon you, and impacting upon you in three main areas of your life. The three main areas that you're concerned about is your sense of security, and that comes through financial security, but also emotional and mental security, that you're not under threat from within and also from outside of yourself. And then there's the area of relationships. You want somebody to love, and you want somebody who will love you in return. And this is a major area of your life, because without relationships, whether it's relationships with people that you work with, relationships with relatives and neighbours, relationships with friends, relationships with children, relationships with loved ones, relationships with partners and spouse, relationships with business associates and so forth. These are all relationships, and your relationships are where you have an opportunity to communicate and to express your love, and also to receive love, and with the intimates in your life to be known and to be understood. These are all basic urges. And then the other one, the third one, is to do with the job. Meaningful work is a very, very important part of our sense of self-esteem and value fulfillment. Now, these planets are implementing cosmic law. They are implementing the will of the divine, what you might say. God and Goddess have got certain plans for you, and those plans are wonderful to help you to become more of who you really are through a multiplicity of lifetimes that you experience here in a space-time rule set that we know as Earth. So it's very, very exciting when you start getting into astrology more deeply, on the aspects of the spiritual side of it, and the science of meditation and reincarnation. I've written 2 books on these subjects that I'm happy to share with you in printed format, sent to you by email, or audio format with my voice and backing mystical music to take you in and out of meditation time and time again, to help you to become more of who you really are. But what we're focusing on here is your horoscope, and what I'm going to be looking at is those 3 areas of your life: your security, your relationships, and your work and employment and business and career, meaningful work. Okay, so what we have is we've got the 12 houses of the horoscope are segments of your life. And the events and conditions of your life are fitted into these 12 different categories. So you've got the first house of self-initiated efforts, you've got the second house of security and finances, the third house of communication with those close to you like relatives and neighbours, the fourth house of the home environment and the family and those who share the home environment with you, and the fifth is the segment of children and entertainments and amusements, sports, and also the sexual side of life and romance before love, romance before marriage, romance before you get serious and so forth. Then there's the sixth segment, which is health and diet, and the way to keep yourself healthy is through meaningful employment, and that fits into that category as well, the job. Then there's the seventh area, which is to do with partnerships and spouse and those who are your close intimates. And then there is the eighth house of transformation and change within yourself and the area of death. Ninth house is higher education and travel and expansion of your consciousness through religious and philosophical studies and so forth, metaphysical studies. 10th house is ambitions and high achievements and career. 11th house is to do with friends and group social activities, other people's children. And the 12th house is the house of hospitals and institutions where you can have solitude and get it all together, introspect and reflect upon what you've learnt from the other 11 houses. So it's all very complex, but it's all also down to earth where you're living and where you're experiencing your life. Now, these planets that I'm going to be working on for you in this reading are Saturn, and that takes 2.5 years in its movement through the zodiac. As it passes through the houses of your horoscope, it takes 2.5 years in one house. And Saturn is implementing the law of economy. In other words, Saturn is going to be saying to you that there must be a usage of energy, emotional, physical and mental energy, must be used wisely and economically. Any misuse of that energy must bring a corresponding adjustment to your consciousness and awareness of that misuse. And so Saturn embodies that third ray of commerce and industry and business, and also practicality and the law of economy and the wise use of energy. And so as it sits in an area of your horoscope, it's going to have a different impact than what it will with somebody with another sign, with a different sign than you. It's in a different house of their horoscope than it is with you. And so you're going to be experiencing that for 2.5 years. Errors that you've made in the usage of energy over the last 26 years are going to come home to roost. And you're going to be able to learn during that time about using energy wisely and economically and practically, and planning your things out practically and so forth. This includes mental energy and emotional energy as well. So I'll be looking at Saturn for you and telling you what the impact of that is shortly, and I'll tell you a little bit about yourself as well. And then there's Jupiter. Jupiter embodies the second ray of love wisdom, and it is a beautiful planet in desiring to expand and to expand your consciousness and awareness to become more of who you really are. And it does this through love, it does this through relationships, and it does this through study, research and investigation, and it does this through education, and it does this through higher thinking and learning about God and Goddess's plans for all of us. And so Jupiter takes 12 months as it moves through a particular house of your horoscope. So it sits in a house for 12 months. So I'm going to be able to tell you what is Jupiter, what is the impact of Jupiter during 2014, and what you are experiencing now prior to moving into 2014 in your life through the impact of Jupiter. So it's sitting in one of your houses of your horoscope now, and I'll tell you what the impact is now, and also 2014 it's in a different house than what it is now. So I'll be able to tell you all about that, and how you can expand and grow and reach and stretch to become more of the giant that you truly are. And then there's Mars. Mars brings energy and will and sexual energy quite often into the area of your life where it's sitting, and it can bring conflict and tension and stress and anxiety and so forth. And I'm going to be looking at the movement of Mars in the first 6 months of 2014. It's sitting stationary in one particular house of your horoscope and introducing a lot of stresses and tensions into that area of your life. And so therefore you've got to deal with that. So this is what I'm going to be working on in your personal horoscope, which I'm going to be looking at shortly. And it's nice to have you here to be able to talk with you and to share with you some of my understanding about these things. And I do this for you free of charge because I want to be of service. I've seen the impact and the benefit that thousands of people have had through going through my intensives or getting extracts out of my books and so forth, and having astrology readings done by me. And so I want to help you to also grow and reach and stretch to become more of who you really are. And so that's what we're going to be looking at in your horoscope for you now. What I want to do for you now, Capricorn, is to tell you a few things about yourself, about your personality, and the way that you interact with the conditions and events and relationships in your life, and the way that you deal with circumstances and conditions and things like that. Now, what I want you to bear in mind, Capricorn, is that this is in the nature of a lifetime situation. In other words, a lot of the things that I talk about can be for the past and therefore not a part of your life anymore. But a lot can be for the future and therefore difficult to relate to. So maintain an open mind towards the things that I talk about, understanding that if it doesn't fit you now, it could possibly fit you in the future. And also bear in mind too that this is a very limited perspective that I have here that I'm concentrating upon. It's just to do with your sun sign, Capricorn, and therefore it's a limited perspective that I have. With your horoscope number 2, I can do a lot more for you, because in horoscope number 2 I'm looking at the location of all of your planets in their various signs, the relationships that they form with other planets in your horoscope, and the houses that they sit in and are associated with. And this is individual to you and you alone. But just sit back and relax now and enjoy the journey with me. And then I'm going to look at the transits of Saturn and the impact that Saturn is having in your life currently. So you'll be able to ascertain whether or not this is valid in your life in 2013. And I'm going to tell you also about the impact that Saturn will have in 2014 for you. And then I'm going to look at Jupiter and tell you what impact that Jupiter is having in 2013 and also in 2014. And then I'll look at Mars and the impact that that's having on you in 2014 in particular. So just enjoy the journey with me and sit back and relax. Look, all of us are a digital state of consciousness. In other words, digital means that there's bits within a complete whole, and those bits of consciousness can be changed and altered. They can have their entropy reduced and therefore become more effective and more powerful, or they can have the entropy increased, which introduces chaos and less power and less capability and less focus and so on and so forth. So therefore all of us are on a journey in life to become more of who we really are. And as a Capricorn, you're very practical. You like to make sure that you use all the energy that's coming into you and stimulating your consciousness wisely. You like to plan things out and you like to administer things. You like to be in control of things. There's a lot of power inside of the Capricorn nature. But also there is a potential there for dominating and manipulating and controlling those in your immediate sphere of influence. And there's also potential there for depression. Now, being a Capricornian person, you like to control and direct the course of events in your life, and your personal self-initiated efforts are generally well thought out, or they certainly can be, and you have the ability to be able to structure a plan, to be able to carry that out and to follow that. Whether you do that all the time is debatable, of course, but you're a very down-to-earth sort of person, very capable of initiating and commencing things, and you do gravitate towards positions of authority and power in the world. Now, you do financially seek to earn money through unusual sources. You can earn money through investments in the stock exchange, and anything to do with computers, electronics, aviation, transportation, communications are all areas that you, and electricity and so forth, energy. This is the area where you like to earn your money. Now, you like to earn your money through unusual sources, things that are out of the ordinary and a little bit eccentric. There can be a few crises in life for you financially, sudden gains, sudden losses, and this is all part and parcel of your sense of security in life. Now, as far as the thinking processes in terms of communication, you're generally a fairly soft and gentle person when it comes to communicating with others. You're very, you have a lot of empathy, and you're very, very psychic and very, very sensitive, and you do pick up very readily on the thoughts of other people. You are strongly attracted towards the water. You love walking around near the water or driving around near the water, and you do seem attracted towards nice music, and the mystical and the spiritual side of life is something that you can never resist. Even though you're very practical and earthbound with your Capricorn nature, you do still have that urge to unravel the mysteries of things and to delve into things that are mysterious to you. Now, there's a lot of worries about relatives, and there's a lot of worries about neighbours. Relatives or neighbours, there can be potential problems with alcohol or drugs involving relatives or neighbours. You could have a motor vehicle stolen at some time in life, or something stolen from a car. And there's a deep-seated sense of insecurity inside of yourself at times. You really do need to have those times of, those down times of solitude, and to be able to introspect and reflect upon things, and always working on developing and maintaining your level of self-esteem. Now, you're a dominant person when it comes to the home and the family and the domestic side of life. You don't brook any interference in your authority in the home environment. And there can be danger in the home through arguments and conflicts as a result of this dominating nature. And there is the early death of one of your parents, quite feasibly, an accidental death or a sudden death or something like that of one of your parents. One of your parents would perhaps wear a uniform, dust coat or overalls in the job at some time in their life. And there's potential for danger in the home through fire. There is potential for conflicts and arguments in the home environment because of that dominating side of your nature. So you just have to try and keep with family members and those who cohabitate with you in the home. You have to try and maintain an even balance there and not try to be too controlling and dominating. You seem to be attracted towards things of the earth in terms of your social life. So you love going out among the plants and the shrubs and the beauties of nature, and you're attracted towards the things of the earth. So you like going out and driving into the mountains and things like that, and you enjoy laying down a blanket and having a picnic with the children and things like that. You're a little bit possessive when it comes to romance and love and the social side of life, and you are a little bit possessive perhaps of the children. You do have potential for income coming in from something related to restaurants, places of amusement, entertainments and amusements generally, matters relating to children and so forth. Now there's many changing interests as far as your work is concerned. You could have two different jobs going at the one time. There's a lot of duality in your nature when it comes to the work side of things. You could drive for a living. There could be perhaps clerical work and sales work. And there's also potential for working with a relative or a neighbour somewhere along the line in the employment side of things. Now, as far as health and dietary matters are concerned, you're a lot less structured than you would like to be. You can have a lot of changing interests as far as diet and exercise rituals and routines, and it's hard for you to stick to a particular plan when it comes to keeping yourself healthy or controlling that diet or whatever. And there's a lot of changing interests as far as food and different types of tastes that appeal to you from time to time. Now, as far as your partnerships are concerned and your relationship with your spouse, they're a very home-loving person, and you're very attracted towards a home-loving spouse, a family-oriented spouse. So there would no doubt be children, and family would be a high priority in forming alliances early in life, and then having a partnership and living together and getting married and so on and so forth. Family and children would be an important part of all of that. And there's a great deal of love for that spouse and the extended family too. The family of the spouse is very, very important to you, the family of the partner, and so on and so forth. You enjoy entertaining in the home, and there's quite often you enjoy having other people around the home and large gatherings of family members and so forth in the entertainment sphere of things, quite often connected with your spouse or partner. Now I'm going to look at the movement of Saturn in your horoscope, Capricorn, and tell you a few things that are going on in your life in 2013 and 2014. Now, Saturn is always wanting to control and direct the usage of energy. And you've got Saturn in the 11th house of your horoscope during the whole of 2013 and 2014. Now, Saturn in the 11th house of your horoscope is going to see the death of somebody else's child, or a lingering illness involving somebody else's child. Could be a grandchild if you're old enough to have grandchildren. And there can be frustrations with regard to friends who are ill, and lingering illness and things like that. Eventually a friend passing away, something like that would be highly possible in 2013, 2014. There's great potential for a breakup in a friendship in 2013 and 2014. There's unhappiness somehow through group activities. So there can be a lot of involvements with group activities, and there can be a lot of frustrations that arise from those group activities or club activities. Now, there's problems with attaining your goals sometimes, as if you're being restricted and limited in the attainment of your goals. It's not a good time for the formation of new friendships. It's a time to reflect upon what you've gathered and learned over the last decade or so in regard to friendships and all of your dealings with other people's children and group activities and things like that. You need to spend time reflecting and thinking upon, have you wasted time in some of this group activity and club activity? Have you wasted a lot of time associated with friends that just weren't up to the mark, and so on and so forth? So these are some of the impacts that Saturn is having upon you by being there in your 11th house. Now, as far as Jupiter is concerned, Capricorn, Jupiter is in the 6th house of your horoscope in 2013. Now, with Jupiter being in the 6th house of your horoscope, it's a very good time for you to do with health in 2013. It sees improvements in your health. It's a good time for any sort of medical intervention or surgical intervention that you had in mind. It's a very good time for you also to do with employment and work. It's a good time to make changes in your job if you wanted to. And it's a very good time for you through small animals like domestic pets and so forth. So there seems to be a lot of joy and potential for social activities with people that you work with. Your animals could be involved in that, your pets and so forth, with any activities there. And there can be some opportunity for improving your health through exercise and diet and regimens along these lines. So it's a very good time for you, 2013, for making a change in your job, expanding your understanding about the wise use of energy in terms of diet and exercise and rituals to keep yourself healthy and so forth, and to read and study and take in information and knowledge on ways of improving your health. And that's about it as far as Jupiter in 2013. Now, in 2014, Jupiter is in the 7th house of your horoscope, Capricorn, and that means that it's a real blessing as far as your marriage is concerned, or your partnership, or your relationship with your spouse. If you're not married and just living together, there's very, very good stars there together, that there will be a strong urge and a calling from your partner to perhaps travel together. So there's a strong desire to travel interstate or overseas, and it's a very, very good time for you to really strengthen the bonds of love in 2014 with your partner. It's a good time for the formation of partnerships in any sort of business activity or anything like that. And it's a very good time for you in dealings with the general public as well. 2014. So it's a very happy time for you in your relationship with those who are your close intimates, and you'll also benefit by getting out among the general public a little bit more as well in 2014. So there's travel on the cards as far as you and your spouse or partner is concerned, and a great deal of joy and happiness in the relationship as it blossoms and develops and expands in the love components of that. Now, as far as Mars is concerned, Capricorn, you've got Mars in the first 6 months. Now, Mars usually just takes 6 weeks to transit through a particular house of our horoscope, so it's therefore quite a fleeting sort of an influence. But in your case, Mars is stationary in one house for the first 6 months of 2014, and it's stationary in the 10th house of your horoscope. Now, the 10th house of your horoscope is the house of business, ambitions, career, and things to do with parents. There can be an accident involving a parent, stresses and tensions in your relationship with parents. There can be a lot of stress and tension in dealings with government departments and superiors in the job. It's not a good time for you the first 6 months of 2014 to make any change in your career. And in dealings with government departments, there can be a lot of stress and tension there. And dealings with superiors in the job. Be careful if you're in business for yourself. It's not a good time for rushing in on impulse with impulsive ideas of expansion and things like that. You've got to be careful to guard against impulse in the first 6 months of 2014. Now, with Mars being stationary there, in that particular house of your horoscope for the first 6 months, you do have to be careful with regard to back and kidney trouble, bladder trouble. So there's bladder trouble, kidney trouble, and back trouble can really occur. So guard yourself against any sort of problems with the lower spine and so on and so forth. And if there's any potential there for problems with your bladder or your kidneys or anything like that, make sure that you jump on it very quickly, because they're the weak areas that can be afflicted by this location of Mars in that first 6 months of 2014, Capricorn. So that's as much as I wanted to explain to you about the way that you interact with people and events and conditions in your life, and a bit about your personality and so forth. And also the impacts that Saturn and Jupiter and Mars are having in your horoscope and in your life during 2013 and 2014. But stick around now, because there's a few things that I want to say to you now about where do you go from here. Well, now that I've gone through all of that area of your houses where the planets have been sitting and everything, where to go from here? Just a little bit of an epilogue here to help you to understand how you can go on with the job now that you've been exposed to this type of understanding and expanded your understanding a little bit further. I want to help you to become more of who you really are, and to take full advantage of the science of astrology and the science of meditation. Meditation is a wonderful science, and by practicing meditation you can keep yourself youthful, and you can program to all the events of your life to occur more in accordance and compliance with your will, your conscious choice, more so than your subconscious will or your subconscious choice. And these events happen in your life most of the time by subconscious choices, according to your attitudes and beliefs and your thoughts and your feelings and your decisions and your choices. They're your raw materials. and you bring those raw materials into events and conditions in your life through your desire, your imagination and your expectation. Well, I want to help you to clean out those emotions and to clarify your thinking so that your beliefs and your attitudes are not your enemies and not creating negativities in your life. So therefore, I'm going to be sending you some printed pages of out of my book, What Really Matters, which covers the science of meditation and reincarnation and astrology, and in simple terms that you'll be able to relate to. And you can read them if you wish, and you can then also become more of who you really are by getting the audio version of my book and listening to that and over and over again, getting that sort of knowledge and understanding into yourself. And I'm happy to do a lot of work for you also by doing your horoscope number 2. If you're keen to learn, I'm happy to do your horoscope number 2, which is normally $20. I'm happy to do that for you free of charge. So I'm happy to help you and encourage you to expand your consciousness. My material will lead you into deeper understanding about yourself and about how you can become more of who you really are and how you can create your reality more in accordance and compliance with your conscious choice and your conscious will, and become more financially independent, more successful in your work, happier in relationships, and so on and so forth. So I thank you for your attentiveness here, and I look forward to working further with you should you desire to go on into my teachings and become more of the giant that you truly are. God and Goddess love you and know your name, and they want you to become more of who you really are. Thank you.